you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love, because you're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to disappear for a night, just to give into the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker, you're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette, 'cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Cigarette. What's up, guys? Welcome to Inside the Numbers, Tuesday, September 29th. We started at 11 today, as hopefully you guys remembered, and it looks like you guys, most of you did. All right, so I'm glad, because this is your poll. All right, so we will go over it. It's not totally done. There's some trickling in, and it will change as these things trickled in. Trump's tens of percentage points. Trump's lead has trickled higher since the preliminary results on What Are the Odds yesterday. Okay. And actually, funny, the electorate went from R plus 5 to R plus 3 or 4. We'll look at it now. And it went, and Trump's lead grew. And that came from doing a little bit better among independent, well, doing quite a bit better, actually, among independents than he had in the other days of collecting. All right. So overall, folks, before we get into the economic stuff, which I know you don't care about compared to, well, it's not that you don't care, but it's important. So we'll have to go over it, but not compared to the poll, which you funded. This poll is funded by you, the viewers of the Inside the Numbers podcast. So the Battleground, or the Sunshine State Battleground Poll, all right, the SSBG, which I am a former military guy, so I have acronyms for everything, all right? Yeah, look, this is, and I keep saying this is not the same electorate that voted for Donald Trump in 2016. It is the electorate that is supporting Joe Biden, is not the same electorate that voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. These are different electorates. It's possible that there could be these pretty big misses in polls this year because of this shift. Anytime there's a political realignment, pollsters miss. The bigger time, or at least they have a larger error, all right? When there are bigger groups between class divides, those misses can be bigger than had they just been normal changes in the electorate and voting preferences, all right? And much more narrow differences in voter expectations. I'm just going to share my screen with you. All right. But there are some there are some voters that we are going to allocate. We know after nudging a little bit yesterday, we know where they're going to go. This is not uncommon. Trump is going to take in Florida probably. He's going to take those who say they're undecided by a large enough margin that it'll add a few points to any given state. In Florida, it's a big state, so we're not talking much. What I'm saying is, I think at first I was looking at that ABC Washington Post poll last week, and I'm like, I don't know, guys, that's a little rosy. Trump +4. I would not be surprised if Florida goes for Trump by like 3 points. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yesterday, if you were watching the show, the lead was about a point, almost on the money in the preliminary results. And then we had some education. He's doing better among people who have degrees than he has been in other areas. And then there's also the matter of the rural-urban divide. The suburbs, which is the media focus constantly, day in and day out, voted for Donald Trump in Florida in 2016 by 10 points. Joe Biden, I think, has like a 1-point lead. So how on earth, with suburban voters being that much of the electorate, how on earth does Trump have a lead, you might ask? The question is a couple of fold. One, his rural numbers are huge. I mean, huge. They're DeSantis huge, maybe a little bit bigger. Okay. And then two, they are going to probably be more of the electorate. Rural voters in Florida don't make up that much. All right. However, when you're asking people to self-identify, many people who live in rural America, what is considered rural America, will tell you that they live in a suburb. They think it's a suburb. It's not. And then when we cross it, we're like, oh, that zip code is rural, right? Which is why we always collect zip codes. And then we ask them, of course, by region to tell us where they live, okay? And we ask them very different, well, not very different, but differently than exit polls do, because exit polls are simply too, what's the word I'm looking for? Simply too simple. It's just not good enough. You're missing large shares of the vote in how they identify it. So the Panhandle, North Florida, is ridiculous to try to put into one group. The Panhandle is what we call Region 1 and 2 combined, by Florida's standards, Region 1 and 2. All right. It's 1 and 2 combined. That is the Panhandle, period. And then 3 and 4 and 5 are North Central Florida. And that includes Jacksonville and Duval County, all the way up to Tallahassee, farther to the west, which is Democrat. Duval County it voted for Trump slightly. 1.4 percentage points. I know that the Biden campaign has made a lot of hullabaloo about how well they're doing in Duval County. We don't have it. Trump is up in Duval County 50-42. So I don't know. And by the way, there are plenty of responses there. So I don't know where exactly they're getting that from. Biden is doing a little bit better in Gadsden and Leon. So that helps to offset that. But the bottom line is the only other blue county there is Alachua County. Gainesville Gator people, Gator people, right? I lived in Gainesville for years, as many of you know, right? So that's it. The rest of the state up there is red. And then we considered it Panhandle, and then Panhandle, North Central Florida. All right. So the Panhandle itself is Escambia, Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, Walton Bay, Calhoun, Franklin, Gadsden, Gulf, Holmes, Jackson, Jefferson, Leon, Liberty, Madison, Taylor, Wakulla, and Washington. And that is why when you look at the Panhandle numbers, it may not look as big as Bay County is going to come in for Donald Trump. Okay. Because you also have Leon in there. So when you see, for instance, let's look. I'll take a look. Well, we'll look at it together in a second. But Biden is, doing what you think is not that bad over there. It doesn't look like that big of a lead for Trump, but it is, because Leon and other Democrat, Tallahassee, is in that area, right? So, but if you break away north central, then that can peel some of like the Alachua County off, and it gives you a much better idea of how each candidate is doing. All right. Biden's high 30s in the Panhandle. All right. Which I'm not sure he's going to get, just because of who is telling us they're going to vote and who is not. So the western part of the Panhandle, all the way up to Bay, is overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. Like Joe Biden is at 18% in some of these counties. But because the Panhandle does include Leon and Gadsden, which is heavily Democratic, it bumps up Biden's margin in the Panhandle. All right. So I need to tell you this because it is very confusing. In north central Florida, that's where you have Alachua and Bradford, Citrus, Columbia, right? Trump leads there in north central Florida, 51-38. All right. In that, with Alachua in there. All right. So Citrus, Columbia, Dixie, Gilchrist, Hamilton, Hernando, Lafayette, Lake, Levi, Marion, Putnam, Sumter, Sewanee, Union, Baker, Clay, Duval, Flagler, Nassau, St. John's, Volusia. For the most part, outside of Alachua County, Donald Trump is killing it. Then there is the Orlando Atlantic Coast. And the reason why I'm just not doing this yet is because I'm looking at my key. I'll show it to you in a little bit. And that's Brevard, Orange, Osceola, Seminole, Indian River, Martin, Okeechobee, where's Laura? Palm Beach and St. Lucie. Okay. There in Orlando, Atlantic Coast, Trump actually has a 3-point lead. 46.7 to 43.2. Why? Because the only areas that are Democrat there are Orlando. It just happens to be a lot of votes there, so it offsets it. But pretty much Trump is romping it in the rest of those counties. Okay. Seminole, a lot of votes there. Trump appears to be doing a little bit better, although I wouldn't be surprised if Seminole County went just a hair for Biden, because maybe the margin, the sampling error is so big there. But Brevard, Trump is at 62%. Volusia County, 59%. So there's areas where he's just squeezing out votes. That every spot that shifts to Biden, others shift to Trump, and we saw this with Gillum and DeSantis in 2018. So really, this shouldn't surprise people, but it can make it very difficult for some of these other media pollsters to get it. Tampa Bay area, Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. Pasco and Pinellas by various margins. Pasco's going for Trump by a few points. Pinellas is going for Trump by a hair. And Hillsborough is going for Biden by about 12 points. So with Hillsborough offsetting Pinellas and Pasco, Biden, because his lead is bigger there than Trump's lead is in Pinellas and Pasco, Biden has a slight lead in the Tampa Bay area that was about even in 2016. Okay. And just to give you that, in 2016, where are you? I've put all of this there. Tampa was 47 Clinton, 46 Trump. It's going to sound very familiar to you. It is. Where's Tampa? 45 Biden, 43 Trump. So from 1 point in 2016 to 2 points in 2018. However, there are a lot of undecided people there, and I will tell you from experience, 14%. It is overwhelmingly where, or 7%, I'm sorry. And then Southwest Gulf, mid-Florida is 14%. If you watched What Are the Odds yesterday, there are a lot of seniors. We just flat know we're going to go for Trump. I want to go over with you some of the questions to counter some of the media narrative. We asked, do you think there are shy Trump voters? And we also asked, how comfortable are you sharing your political views with each group? And we listed groups such as how you intend to vote. And those groups were family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, strangers, and pollsters. There are certain groups that are more comfortable than others. In 2018, the Tampa Bay area and the Southwest Gulf, Midwest Florida area did this to us with Ron DeSantis too. And actually, we had Gillum by 4 at one point because it was so big there. It was just undecided. They were full of crap. They were not undecided. There was a social desirability bias in the gubernatorial election that we did not see in the Senate election. I think that the reasons are obvious. All right. So in the southeastern Gold Coast part of the state, the ever important Miami-Dade area, and Broward and Palm Beach. Remember, Miami-Dade does not vote like Broward. All right. Palm Beach and Miami-Dade are very different as well. So Broward County goes 64% for Hillary Clinton in 2016, yet Palm Beach only went 54-44, and Miami-Dade only went 55-40. Oh no, that's the Rubio map. But the bottom line is, you know where I'm going with this. 64-34 in Miami-Dade for Hillary Clinton, 57-51 in Palm Beach for Hillary Clinton. But Broward went 67, and I'm rounding here, 67-31 for Clinton. This is what I'm talking about when I say they're not the same. It's not the same electorate. In the Southeast Gold Coast region, which is that region, Trump is at 38.5% compared to Biden, 52.5%. When we ask just about you in a rural, suburban, or urban area, Donald Trump is doing significantly better in urban areas than he did in 2016. That would be, Miami-Dade would be a perfect example. He's clobbering him. Donald Trump is clobbering Joe Biden among Venezuelans, and he's clobbering him among Cubans. His overall Hispanic vote share, though, only looks to be about a few points higher than it was in 2016. All right, so about 38% or something, or roughly that. But it's where these votes are coming from, and because they're highly populated areas, it's offsetting some of these areas. Now, that said, Biden is doing much better in the suburbs than Hillary Clinton did. All right, so it looks like a DeSantis-Gillum map, only a little bit bigger of an advantage for Trump than DeSantis had, which what did he win by? 30, 40,000 votes. It was very close. I would say we're looking at about 150,000 vote win for Trump. Maybe like 160, something like that. All right. Or am I even calculating that right? Don't hold me to that. Let me look that up, and I'll put this thing and it'll actually spit out the votes. About 10 million votes. So, we're looking roughly in that ballpark. All right. But it's like 1.5 points. So let's open it up. Let's take a look at the top lines. All right. Let me save it. And sorry, guys, I had interviews this morning and I wasn't even done with it. So I was like trying to get this ready for you guys. All right. It's not pretty yet. I always make it pretty later, of course. Some things aren't even worded correctly yet, but we're gonna go over it. Let's look at men and women first. The difference in voting for men and women in Florida. It looks like it will be 46% female, 46% male, 54% female, which you would think is not good for Republicans, but in Florida, women are more conservative. So let's see. Let's get rid of this background while it's loading up and doing its thing anyway. It's been throwing me some errors, man. It's killing me, ticking me off. But I've been abusing it and beating it up a little bit. All right. And technically, sorry, it's a 1.6 point lead for Trump. So I guess if you were to round up right now, we're at a Trump +2. All right. And there are still some trickling in as we speak. It looks like 60 something are in the middle of their interview from online components. So no, it is what it is. We'll just have to wait. Come on, market site. Let's go. I'm going to reload it. Oh, I didn't save it. That's why I wanted me to save it. It doesn't matter. All right. So here we go. Let's do gender first. Okay. All right. Yeah, because see, normally I make it pretty, and this question would not expand this all the way out and make it ugly. And I can fix that in a second. But right now, we're looking at about 1,002 in the likely voter model. Okay, which is not. It looks like 86% turnout, 86.5 right now. Could go a little bit higher. So maybe, a population, guys, close to 10 million votes. All right. Joe Jorgensen is getting 2% of the vote. Howie Hawkins, who we put on the ballot as well, getting 1%, and someone else getting, less than 1%. Combine that all together, maybe 4 points of someone else and then 7.7% undecided. Again, I really don't think that many people are undecided. I don't. I think that some of them are not willing, and I really can't wait to look at this. Some of them are not willing to tell us their views that well. And we saw this again in 2018. All right. So Biden is carrying women by only about 4 points overall. And Trump is carrying men by about 7.5 points. Right. So did I give Biden too much? No, 46. I'm rounding up. Let's round up for argument's sake. So 46% to 42%. Biden is winning women. And then on the men, and by the way, guys, just so you all have it, I will, when I'm finished processing this, making it look nice and pretty, I will make an open source Google Sheet for you all to go rummaging through the crosstabs. Okay. This is yours, and we will put it out there. I'll also probably put it in like a, on Big Data Poll itself, whatever you want to call it. All right. It'll be like a press release thing. It's yours. You'll be able to get it. So no worries about no paywalls. You paid for it. So I saw that in the corner of my eye. Donald Trump and Mike Pence are getting 49% of the male vote, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are getting 41% of men. All right. A couple other things here. Republicans are super juiced. They're super juiced. And let's cross this with, is your vote more a vote for your candidate or not? All right. Here is against the opponent. So is your vote more a vote for your preferred candidate or a vote against their opponent? All right. So 61% of Trump voters tell us their vote is for their candidate. You may notice quite a bit have no opinion. All right. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. In Joe Biden's case, I think it's straight indifference. 72% of Joe Biden's voters say their vote is not for Joe Biden. It's against Donald Trump. 38% say their vote is for him. Another 36% who answered that way, I suspect just answered that way because they're indifferent. All right. Not because they're afraid of giving their answers. They're simply indifferent. Their candidate doesn't inspire. He doesn't, he is not an inspirational guy. Every state we poll, Joe Biden is just like this generic Democrat who is not Donald Trump. All right. And we did ask whether or not people were comfortable with the idea of Kamala Harris taking over if Joe Biden cannot serve out his first term. And just because we didn't want to be tainting or biased in any way, all we did was read some of their comments. So Joe Biden called himself a transition candidate. Both him and Harris said this: Harris administration. At 77 years old, Joe Biden would be the oldest candidate, surpassing Donald Trump, to be elected to the White House. Are you comfortable or uncomfortable with the idea of Kamala Harris serving as president if Joe Biden cannot fulfill his first term? Roughly worded that way. And you'll see, I think the results are kind of shocking. It's not really the number itself, it's who is saying that. And if you guys want, we can create some charts live right now. So who is undecided at that 7.7%? Do they approve or disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing? That would be something cool to cross. And out of the people who say they're uncomfortable with Kamala Harris, how many of them are Democrats? How many of them are independents? That would be something to look up. Anyway, about a third told us for the Trump and Pence that they have no opinion. At least I think it's reasonable to conclude there's some social bias in there. And I think it's indifference with Joe Biden and social bias with Trump. Why? Because I'm going to show you something else. And before I forget, just to knock my point home here. And let me go to all. This is the question. Do you believe there is a significant number of shy Trump voters, shy voters, who do not want to share that they are voting for Donald Trump? Look at this. 64% say yes. Can you guys see that well? I know it's small. I know it's really small. Let me zoom in a little bit. That was the wrong zoom, stupid. You really can't see that. Now that I just looked into the camera thing. And by the way, guys, did you guys check out my interview on the Hill while I did that? I had a good conversation with those guys. All right. There we go. Now you can see. All right. So overall total, 64% of likely Florida voters believe that there absolutely are people out there who are shy and do not want to share that they are voting for Donald Trump. Only the 18, what's noteworthy here is the age groups, guys. Only 18 to 29, said 30% said no in the 18 to 29 category. 23.6% said they were unsure. And yes was only 46.3%. The reason it's in blue is this means statistically significant. So if you see a box in blue, it means it is statistically significant with the row percentage and the columns percentages. I have it set for column right now. I should put it for both. Hold on. No, I have it for and then mixed if you want to see columns and rows. See, it's mixed a little bit there. That tells you the count. But bottom line is the blue tells you that it's statistically significant to the overall result. All right. Let's go back to rows. It makes it easier for you to read. All right. And then as we get older, that number grows. So 30 to 44-year-olds, 62% say yes. All right. 45 to 64-year-olds, 65% say yes. Almost right on the money with the average. And then which age group is way above the average? Seniors. 76.3%. I'm pointing this out for a reason. There's a reason I'm pointing this out right now. All right. Keep focused on this. All right. Now, how comfortable are you with Kamala Harris service? No, let's do the shy questions first. And if you guys want to see it by race, we can go down by race too. Almost 69% of white voters say yes. 52% of Hispanics say yes. 61% of blacks say yes. And 46% of Asians say yes. Our Asian sample was small, as you can see. They don't make up that big of a share in Florida, about 4%. I think they're roughly 5 in our poll. Yeah, 550, obviously. Close to 5. But they make up roughly 4% of the vote. And actually, Hillary trounced Trump among Asians and other races. It's about even here, but it's because it's a small sample. And I think actually it's like a little Trump. It's a small sample. So don't be shocked. Other things have a way of ironing out those the statistical noise, right? And like, for instance, I think that the sample is slightly too Puerto Rican. And I think Trump probably is more like 41%, 40% with Hispanics instead of like 36.5 or 38 or wherever he is. All right. I know he's a few points higher than 2016. So, where is it? Bear with me. And you guys, like I said, you'll be able to go through this all yourself once we get this out, which we will do very quick. Yeah. So Trump's like 3 points ahead of his 2016 with Hispanics. It's more than that because they're Venezuelans. So like I said, maybe Biden does a little bit better among Hispanics. Maybe Trump does a little bit better than you would expect him to do among Asians, groups like that. So it tends to iron out. All right. But I think it's too Puerto Rican, potentially. And I may go back and revise. When we get those interviews that are going now, I will revise it. But what I'll share with you when we're done making this look pretty, what I'll share with you will not change. Like the link itself will not change. All right. So you got race. We did employment status, guys. We did education, of course. I would look at graduates, and then some. So this is one of Trump's best groups. All right. And then he's doing better among people with a college degree than I thought actually he would do. And he's doing worse with the high school GED or less. And here's why. The less, meaning if you don't have a high school diploma or a GED, you're or the equivalent or some trade vocation, because that's how it's worded on the survey, then you go for Biden. If you have a high school degree or equivalent, like a trade skill that you did, like voc rehab, whatever it may be, vocational school, GED, or a high school education, then you're a Trump group. But overall, when you put them together, it's slightly for Biden because that less group shifts it. All right. And then some associates, that's a Trump group. And Trump is doing better when we combine undergrads and graduates. Of course, we all know graduates don't like Donald Trump that much. But here, I think we identified some that will vote for Donald Trump. Why? Because Florida is, what's the word I'm looking for? Even the urban areas are not particularly Albuquerque-like, Santa Fe-like, New York City-like even. And they're not particularly metro hip. They're not what you guys, you know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to like insult anybody. You know what I'm trying to say. Florida doesn't have many areas like that, which is also so culturally it is different, which is also why I think that Trump is doing better in urban Florida than he did last time. All right. And then we did by marital status, by income. We even got religious affiliation in here, rural, urban. And then these are the regions we talked about. Anything regionally specific. I mean, North Central Florida, that's big to the 64%. That's above Orlando, Atlantic Coast, right around Panhandle. And then the Southeast Gold Coast. That's Miami-Dade, Palm Beach. All right. 68%. All right. So it's interesting that some of these areas where we're like, why is Trump doing better? There seems to be these people who are just uncomfortable sharing their views. All right. And then here, let's look at family. How comfortable are you? Or how comfortable or uncomfortable are you telling each group of people about your political beliefs, such as how you intend to vote? All right. And I would like I said, I haven't had time to put this in order. This would normally be in order. When it comes to family, I'm sorry, people are still rather comfortable. Only about 14 plus 13, about 16%, right? 15, 16%, give or take, say they're somewhat or very uncomfortable talking to family and friends about it. Now, from a statistical point of view, a poll, when we're trying to decide, that it's noteworthy. I mean, that kind of a number can be a miss. 65% still told us they're very comfortable, and another 20% roughly told us they were somewhat comfortable. All right. Now, we chose to separate family and friends because you can pick your friends, but you cannot pick your family. And a lot of people like-minded, right? We're all like-minded. So let's look at friends. It actually gave me a result that was a little bit different than I expected, but somewhat uncomfortable was still a little bit higher, just a little bit higher. All right. Maybe they don't want to ruin friendships over it. So at first I was thinking you choose like-minded people to be your friends. We should separate this because maybe people will be less comfortable talking to their family because you can't, you don't choose your family, whether you're like-minded or not. But in the end, I guess people will still rely on their family relationships and they just say like, this is my view, bite me. And where with friends, there's still a little bit more of a sensitivity there that they don't want to lose their friends, all right, by talking about it. So it's a little bit higher than family, actually. And I thought it would be the opposite. But anyway, somewhat comfortable, 28%, very comfortable, 54.4%, somewhat uncomfortable, 10.6%, and very uncomfortable, 7.1%. Again, I mean, 17.8% is still, noteworthy from a statistical point of view. Almost 2 in 10 people, almost 2 in 10, don't feel comfortable talking to their friends about politics. That's a damn shame. This is supposed to be America. It gets worse as we go. Neighbors. All right. Only 28% now say they're somewhat comfortable. Almost 19%, roughly, if we're rounding up, 19% say they're somewhat uncomfortable. Very comfortable is less than 41%. If we're rounding up, it is 41. And very uncomfortable is now up to 12.4. So when you add them together, we're looking at over a third who say they're uncomfortable talking to their neighbors. All right. Why does this matter? Okay. The Sean Trendy argument against the idea there may be a shy Trump vote. And I'm not saying there's enough shy Trump votes to give him states he might otherwise lose, or, states he probably should have won, but he didn't because of coronavirus. Maybe there's going to be some of them. All right. I'm just saying, I'm making hypotheticals here. I'm playing devil's advocate. All right. The trendies of the world and the silvers will tell you it doesn't make any sense that someone's willing to put a yard sign out, but they're not willing to talk to a pollster. Okay. First of all, you know your neighbors. You don't know a pollster. Secondly, I did the neighbors question on purpose because if you're uncomfortable with them knowing your political views or talking to them about your political beliefs, such as how you intend to vote, you're not going to put a yard sign up. So with 30%, almost a third, telling us they're at least somewhat uncomfortable, if not very uncomfortable, putting, neighbors into the mix here, then that should indicate that there would actually be more signs if people were more comfortable doing so. This is what they're missing. Two things. One, neighbors are not total strangers. Maybe some of them are. But then two, you would be seeing more signs, gentlemen. It's pretty clear. You would be seeing more signs if more people were comfortable doing that. So, of course, we could expect it to get worse when it comes to complete strangers. And I keep bringing up the story, but he really is a perfect example. Historic district, rural Florida, although he would consider himself a suburb. I'm not kidding. And if you know, guys, if you know Florida, Micanopy is not a suburb, right? That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. That's rural, all right? But anyway, I digress. He had flags. He had signs. I told this story on What Are the Odds yesterday, so I'm not going to harp on it. But he took them all down. He is uncomfortable. Not that he's not voting for Trump. He absolutely is. He is uncomfortable, demonstrating that now in front of his business, which, by the way, is right near his home. It's one of those things, historic district, all right? Anyway, let's move on to coworkers. It gets worse. Somewhat comfortable has now fallen from 29 to 25.5, or 28.8 to 25.5. Somewhat uncomfortable has risen to 19.5. Very comfortable has fallen to 39.1, and very uncomfortable has risen to 15.9. So now we're well over a third. We're now almost to 4 in 10 who are uncomfortable talking to their coworkers about their political beliefs, such as how they intend to vote. All right. And now let's move to strangers. Whoa! This gets to the core of their damn argument, right? If you put a yard sign out, there's a difference between your neighbors and strangers. I just proved it. They don't actually have any data like this to back up what they're saying. I just proved it. And so somewhat comfortable is now 18.8%. Somewhat uncomfortable is 20.3%. Very comfortable is about 34%. And very uncomfortable, hear those warplanes, is now up to 27%. So now we have almost half, roughly half, who are at least somewhat uncomfortable with strangers talking to just anybody about their political beliefs, such as how you intend to vote. Now, normally, I could stop right here because I've made the point with strangers, but I wanted to know just how much it matters when it comes to what I do for a living. All right? Now, it fell somewhat, which is interesting because pollsters are strangers, right? But I thought it would be fair to add this specifically instead of just lumping everybody in. But somewhat comfortable now is less than 25, 24.9. Somewhat uncomfortable, 16%. Very comfortable is 42.5%, and very uncomfortable is 16.6%. So we have a third of the electorate, at least somewhat uncomfortable, telling pollsters about their political beliefs, including the intention to vote, including their voting intention. A third. I mean, folks, if that doesn't tell you, you don't have to be a statistician to know that's bad. That is not good.
All right, let's look by, and I think you're going to find this interesting. All right, what did I get rid of party ID here? Come on. I guess I got to go back and add party ID. How could I have left that off the map? You know what? Let's look for whom would you vote. This is a great idea. What am I talking about? All right. So Trump voters are almost double very uncomfortable than Biden voters, and somewhat uncomfortable slightly more. They're less somewhat comfortable. And even though there's a core, what this tells you right here, there's a core constituency of Trump's voters who, about 45.6% of Trump voters who just say, you know what? I'm voting for him and you can kiss my butt. But the rest of them don't agree. That's a catastrophe. I mean, for polling in general. And Biden, just about as much when it comes to very comfortable. But the very uncomfortable is statistically different. Almost twice as many. Almost twice as many Trump voters say they are very uncomfortable talking to a pollster about their political beliefs, including their voting intention. I think that is a real problem. You know, I mean, just from a statistical point of view. In rural America is the most uncomfortable group out of them. So you have 18% of somewhat uncomfortable rural leads with 18%. Suburban, 16.2%. Urban, 14.5%. That's somewhat uncomfortable. And then rural is also the leader on very uncomfortable. Suburban is just right below. So like I tell you guys all the time, who is most willing to jump on a poll? And why am I doing this, guys? Because I am fighting a war here in my industry. I am trying to tell you the truth about how there are drawbacks to each data collection mode, how there are challenges to polling in modern America. The urban voter is the most willing participant in survey research. The most willing. And now we see they are also the most comfortable talking to pollsters. They lead somewhat comfortable with 31.7. Suburban doesn't even really come close with 23% saying the same. And they lead with very comfortable at 44%. Suburban and rural are, not that far behind. Rural is 39.6. So compared to 44. But then very uncomfortable, there are more than twice as many in rural America who are very uncomfortable talking to pollsters than in urban America. There are twice as many in suburban America who are very uncomfortable than there are in urban America. I hope, I'm really driving this point home. And by the way, some of this stuff I'm looking at with you right now for the first time. Right now. All right. I mean, Robert and I went over it on what are the odds a little bit, but we didn't cross like this. All right. But I already knew it was going to be this way because I know what the participation rates are for each region. Doesn't matter if you're in Florida, if you're in Pennsylvania, if you're in Wisconsin, if you're in Ohio. Actually, Ohio is one of those states where Trump voters are just like, up yours, I'm voting for Donald Trump. Sorry, I'm requesting something. But you guys can see my point here. All right? I mean, this might be the most interesting result in the whole damn poll. Yeah, Trump's up by 1.6. So I know, I'm sure a lot of you are happy about that. And as the votes trickle in, it probably will be a 2. You know what? That's a great question, Joel. That is an absolutely great question. That'll take me doing a little batch charting, but I will do that. Joel, you asked a fantastic question. I wonder how much overlap there is between people who say they are uncomfortable talking to pollsters and undecided between Trump and Biden. That's a great question, Joel. I'm going to batch chart this, which means I'm going to grab a couple of questions I want to cross. All right. And then it'll just fire out and create a bunch of charts. Okay. I will do that question, Joel, about comfort levels, and then I will also do approval ratings. I'm just going to do a crap load among undecided. So we'll just take a look at those 7.7% who claim to be undecided, and they're coming from Tampa and Monroe. They're not undecided. All right. And I mean, let's even do it by region, Joel. Let's even do region. Yeah, that was a hell of a question. He's getting it. The point is, he is getting it. If there is a chance for a miss, this will be why. This will be why. All right. Let's move on. Twitter isn't the real world, guys. All right. So I know that there is intensity levels for each candidate. But for something like that, like Angie, for every person on Twitter that you see is from like the Iron Range or Southwestern Pennsylvania, who is voting for Donald Trump this time. Voted for Clinton, now voted for Trump. There'll be someone like, you're talking about like some George Conway who is voting for Joe Biden, but down ballot, he'll vote Republican. And actually, that brings us into this question. All right. Where are you, generic ballot? There you are. We talked about this yesterday. Republicans have about a 3.5 point or 3 something lead. Actually, that grew. New responses tricked in. But at this point, waiting is waiting. All right. So the variables are in play for age, gender, race. So it's not in region. So it's not. I don't think it'll change all that much. But yesterday it was a 3 point, and even this morning. So something trickled in as we were talking. I don't know why it still says 1,002. Unless I didn't look at the generic ballot between the prelim. I wonder. Let's look at see. Just bear with me for my own benefit here, guys. Yesterday when Barnes and I were looking at it, I thought it was +3. Anyway, this suggests Charlie Crist could have a problem, for instance. So if and that's out in that Tampa area, that's that seat. So there are some areas, and maybe Salazar gets a little closer to Shalala. I just think that that's a hard seat to do. And then you have the Republican mayor running in the very heavily Hispanic district. He could very well do it too, because he's clobbering his Democratic opponent among Cubans, and they're about over there. They're a disproportionately higher share of the Hispanic vote in that district. Just to let you guys know why I say Puerto Ricans are probably overrepresented in this poll. They're about like 28% in this poll of the entire sample. That's what Cubans are. Puerto Ricans are only 16% of overall Hispanics in Florida. So, or maybe they've grown since then a little bit, but since I was looking at that census, but maybe they've grown somewhat, but they tend to be overrepresented in media polls, and it may be the case that they are in ours as well. I don't know though. I've been kind of waiting for it to just come and go, and then when everything's done, I'll go back and look and see if it didn't iron out. All right, so Republicans 45.6, Democrats 41.9. So it does look like Republicans now have roughly a 4-point lead, 3.5 point lead. That's roughly Rubio's. So if statewide Republicans have that kind of a lead on the generic ballot, that does put 13 into play. All right. So keep an eye on that. And I don't know. Well, point being is in 2016, and I wasn't even getting into this to talk about the actual what seats would be put in play, but Trump seemed to lag the generic ballot in Florida too in 2016. It didn't always work that way in different states. So this is interesting. Although Rubio did outperform Trump, right? So he did better in DeSoto. So he did better among other groups. He held that white vote that Trump had, a little bit less, I think, but he did so much better among minorities, among Hispanics particularly. So he outperformed. I think Rubio's win was about 4 points. So it's about, would be this right here. Undecided, slightly bigger. Undecided is 9.7. And then someone else is slightly bigger. Okay. 18 to 29, of course, Republicans are getting clobbered there. Republicans are doing better in this 30 to 44 age category. All right. This is a big deal. This is working age people, prime working years. All right. And in 2016, Trump did not do that well. He lost this group in Florida. He lost it 54-39. In 2018, Gillum won it 62-35. And then, of course, Rubio, let's see what Rubio did. Bear with me. I'm curious to see what Rubio did among that age group, because that may help to explain some. Where are you? Where are you, exits? The hell with that. I don't want to keep you waiting. But the bottom line is that that's a shift. So for the slight, for the drop, whatever drop we're seeing among seniors, this could be a big change. This is a big deal. And I've been seeing this pretty much everywhere. And I'm wondering how real it is. And I'm wondering how big it will be. I've been saying that it may be that Trump, not maybe. He is not winning men by the margin in some areas that we have seen him win in 2016, but there seem to be more men in the electorate, which can make a big difference with certain age groups like this. So Trump, again, he's leading in this too. So Republicans have a 48.6 to 40.7 lead among the ages 30 to 44. They have a similar lead, 45 to 64, although their ceiling is not as high. Their floor is roughly the same. And then 65 plus, Republicans are romping it, 53-39. Again, that's a big deal. And Trump also leads in every age group except for 18 and 29. It's possible that our age group is not doing. And look, though, they lag among Hispanics. They will lag Trump among Hispanics. There's just simply no doubt. All right. They're doing a little bit better with whites, it looks like. Or Democrats are doing worse than Joe Biden is with whites. But bottom line is they're lagging Trump and Hispanic votes. All right. So we could look at a bunch of most important issues. My contacts are killing me. Let's look at this before the break. Coronavirus. It's Florida. So coronavirus is number 2, and that actually doesn't surprise me. It's the state of Florida. There is an aging, above average age population in this state. So it makes sense. It makes more sense that they are more concerned about it, all right, than other states. But nevertheless, the economy and jobs this is higher, if you guys remember, than some of the other polls, some of the other states. 35.7% economy and jobs now. Coronavirus, 19.2. Healthcare, 18.4. Education, 1.3. Environment, climate change, 3.3. Immigration, 4 almost, 3.9. Policing, crime, and safety. I told you we were going to split this up this time. 8.2. We split it up with race relations. Just so people didn't get like an obfuscated idea. When we say policing and crime, we don't only mean law and order. So it could be that people who think race relations or police reform is the number one issue, and they'll pick that. So we split it up this time, just to make it clear. 3%. Supreme Court appointments, 3.1%. Terrorism and national security, 4.9%. Now, do we have the voter preference here? Voter enthusiasm, expectations. Here's the voter question. For whom do you vote? All right. The economy and jobs, Trump is killing it 2-1. If they chose the economy and jobs as their top issue, they are. Biden is stumping. Trump is stumping Biden. And actually, we really should have put this the other way to give you a more accurate assessment of who it is. It's not 48.2% exactly, because as you go down the line, it's going to be less. Trump is getting killed. If you chose coronavirus, you are highly likely to be a Biden voter. Trump is getting decimated on coronavirus and healthcare. He's winning in Florida on education. environment and climate change. He is losing, of course. He is clobbering on immigration. No shock there. Look at the difference with policing and crime. And actually, there is a better way to lay this out, and I will. So, and then race relations, he's getting killed, but it's a small percent. So, it's like less than immigration, but like immigration, those are peripheral issues. They're very close on Supreme Court appointments. Trump has a slight edge, but they are very close. Trump is thumping it on terrorism and national security, which brings me to, who do you trust more on these issues? All right. Now, this is different. This was looking at the percentage of voters who say this, the percentage of voters who say that. Okay. But it doesn't tell you who people, like the traditional, who do you trust? All right. And let's do that. Let's look at that. Who do you have better trust to handle this on the economy? Let's look at that first. And let's go to all races, all demographics. Trump has a 12-point lead on the economy. Okay. So the economy and jobs, regardless of how you intend to vote, who do you trust more to do a better job handling each of the following issues? Donald Trump's got a 12-point lead on the economy. On healthcare and coronavirus, he's getting killed. Watch this. So about a 10-point lead for Biden on 11-point lead for Biden on healthcare. Keep going, buddy. Keep going. Actually, that's more narrow than I thought. On coronavirus, 39 for Trump, 46. Not as much as healthcare. That's closed. That tightened. That's interesting. All right. Policing and crime. 47% to Donald Trump, 41% to Joe Biden. Again, some of that stuff I believe probably bled in. Supreme Court appointments. Trump is beating him badly on Supreme Court appointments. 39.7 for Biden, 45.8 for Trump. And this is why you're going to see some of the results to the other questions in a hot minute. Immigration. And it takes, now you guys know though, just for the record, some of this seems like really boring to just go over this stuff. This is why it takes me forever. And when I say, I got to stop this shit, here or postpone, this is some tedious crap. It really is. I love it. And I can play around with it all day, but it's tedious. And when you're doing it for somebody, like we were polling for the Epoch Times, it could take a while. It just takes a while to get done. So Trump has a 48.1 to 41.8 lead on immigration. All right. Education, interesting result here. Joe Biden has a slight lead, 43.8 to 39.2. Terrorism and national security. Trump, 51.5. Joe Biden, 37.4. That's a big deal. Why? Because Florida is a veteran state. You saw actually a lot of people compared to the nation as a whole still think, I don't mean it's not. Terrorism and national security are a big issue. I'm just saying it takes a lot for someone to choose it as their top issue. And in Florida, there's a bigger veteran population, an older population. And nationally, if you remember, these two were about even. But this is a very important battleground state, and they are not. Trump is overwhelmingly trusted on terrorism and national security issues. The environment, no shocker here. Joe Biden, 49.4. Donald Trump, 32.9. And issues are won on the peripheral, folks. They're won on the margins. So like cobbling together these little coalitions of people who choose these different answers is how you get elected. It's not good enough to have a lead on the number one issue. You have to have a lead on tons of issues that people care about. Luckily for Trump in Florida, he's got a 12-point lead on the economy. He's got another lead on Supreme Court appointments. He leads on immigration. He has a bunch of issues. Terrorism and national security. He has a bunch of issues where it's not like nationally where Republicans just get killed on everything but jobs in the economy. All right. Race relations, 45.7 to Joe Biden, 33.4 to Donald Trump, which actually shocked me a little bit. All right. It is the halftime hour. We'll go over calls to defund the police. We'll go over Supreme Court. Do people want Amy Coney Barrett in Florida to get a hearing and a confirmation vote, or at least a chance? Do they agree with Amy Coney Barrett's philosophy, or do they agree with Ruth Bader Ginsburg's philosophy? Lot to talk about. We had a big number here. How comfortable or uncomfortable are people with the idea of Kamala Harris taking over as president if Joe Biden can't serve out his term? Adding Senate seats to the Supreme Court, adding seats to the Supreme Court, adding Senate seats for DC. Tons of stuff here, people. All right. Tons of stuff. It was a big poll, a solid poll. All right. So, and then I do, of course, when we come back, we'll take a pause from the poll and we'll talk about that debate. I see what you guys are asking. We need to talk about the debate before the end of the day here. All right. So let me take a quick break. And when I come back, we'll do just that. Finish the results of the Rust Belt poll. You're watching Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. Follow me on Twitter at People's_Pundit right there. And all of you guys who apparently bombarded Hill TV and others to get me on their program. I love you guys, man. They were like, we were basically harassed by your followers. They were like, there's some diehard people. You got to have on the People's Pundit. Got to have them on the People's Pundit. That was awesome, guys. And can't thank you for it. All right. So until we figure out, though, what's going on, I'm not going to pitch that contribution thing today. All right. Whatever we fell shy of with the Florida poll, we fell shy of. That's it. Until we figure out that we're actually going to do another state, I think we probably should just hold off on donations, contributions right now. Plus, every people like, you're crazy, man. Get to polling. I mean, if you're dying to and you want to, go ahead. Because, if enough of you do that, I'm going to poll anyway. I just wanted to kind of gauge interest. Maybe I'm wrong and I should just shut my mouth. Because Barnes and Laura were right about polling Florida, that the ability to do so. So Maine, New Hampshire, smaller states, Arizona, if we could get there, maybe I should just shut my mouth and just let Laura and Barnes handle this. All right. I don't know why I don't listen to them sometimes. Or definitely Laura. Barnes, that's one thing, right? Guys have opinions. Opinions vary. But your wife, they're always right. All right. That's it. All right. So what else do I have to say? We'll do some show announcement later. Don't forget to like the page on Facebook, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. All right. Best way to support the show, of course, is to subscribe to PPD, which you can do by going to ppdnews.us/subscribe. ppdnews.us/subscribe. We'll be back in 2 minutes. They're a bad habit.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be. I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Take a one-way ride, steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to spear overnight, just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
we're back. Can you hear me when I disappear like that? Anyway, we're back from Inside the Number. We're back with more Florida polling results on Inside the Numbers. Hot minute, though. Let's talk about this debate. In a very small nutshell, I can wrap this up. All Joe Biden has to do is not fall off the stage or pop an eye blood vessel. Okay, a blood vessel in his eye. That's it. The media expectations for him are so low. Democrats' expectations for him are so low. And the Trump campaign has done a lot to pump up how much they think he's senile. He is. I mean, we all know how this goes. I'm not playing that game. All right. But ultimately, pressure, lack of stress, and preparation can cover for that if need be. So all he needs to do is not fall off the stage today, and they'll declare him the winner either way. It doesn't mean the American public will agree. He just has to be confident. He just has to seem not confident, competent. Donald Trump is an incumbent president. They tend to be freaking busy. And they come out and they make bad debate performances. They have a very long history of doing so. You have Barack Obama. He was creamed by Mitt Romney in the first debate. Creamed. You have George Herbert Walker Bush. He was beaten by Kerry Badley in the first debate. Bill Clinton was not in a race with a formidable adversary. Bob Dole, while a nice man, was a complete and total weakling and a failure. All right. I'm sorry. Laura's giggle.
Truth is truth.
Truth is truth. He was your typical establishment Republican who got the nomination because of the hierarchy Republicans used to obey. They no longer do. And they will not, even if Trump loses. All right. And I got news for Bill Kristol and George Conway and Mitt Romney and the rest. You're not getting your party back. Even if Donald Trump loses, the party will be disheveled until someone else rises, probably his son, who if I was his friend, I would strongly suggest that Don Jr. make a run for some office soon. I think Don Jr., if he was because he's got charisma, his father doesn't, sure. Right? You know what I mean? But his father's got charisma. I'm just saying he has a lighter touch to him, I guess. Yes. Is my point.
He's not so crass.
Yeah, but he's not like Mike Brawny, right? But he's not as crass. And he's better spoken, I think, personally. I do. I think he is better than Trump like that. Like Trump defaults, and he can't do that tonight. He'll default to this stuff like, or this. He's got to just simply say, if he wants to say I something, don't text me, folks. If he has to say I something, he should use the line he used during the convention, which is simply, I have done more in 4 years than Joe Biden has done in 47. That is simply that is the only line that he needs to, and variations of that line that he has to continue to drill. One of the most effective lines of attack against Hillary Clinton when we did several snaps and tests in 2016 was that Hillary Clinton was a career politician and that you're promising this, you're promising that, but in the end, you had all the time in the world. You didn't get it done. Now Trump is an incumbent with a record, and he can say, I told you when I stood on a stage next to another career politician like Joe Biden, I told you that I would get it done. I did get it done. I got more done in 4 years than Joe Biden got done in 47. All right. So that's it. I mean, that's the kind of a line of attack he has to do. He can't fall into the thing that Trump does. All right. Now, Trump is a little bit different. He goes on the attack in a way that other politicians don't. That is what Democrats are worried about with Joe Biden. Because if he goes on this attack and by the way, it would be political malpractice for Donald Trump to not directly address the fine people lie. Scott Adams uses a better term, the hoax, the fine people hoax. It's a lie. It is a hoax, a media hoax, but it's a horrible, dangerous lie. And Donald Trump needs to directly address that and say, because it's Joe Biden himself. He launched his campaign video on it and when he said, that's why I decided to run. He repeated that when he gave his acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention. He has to address that. He has got to address that. And bottom line is, it would be malpractice if he didn't, because it's not true. And when you tell the American people directly, because this is your chance at this debate, which more people will watch than any other debate. This debate is the debate that, they all matter, but this debate will matter. This is your first chance. And really, for some, 10, 20 million people, and maybe your only chance to go after your opponent. And for Trump, what he needs to do is expose that Biden's entire justification is built on a horrible lie. I never said white supremacists were very fine people, and there's only two ways you could believe that, Joe. You're either so stupid and senile, you believe everything your team tells you, or worse, you're a freaking liar. Either way, you're unfit to be a president, and that's it. That's your line of attack. Don't go on and on and on, put your finger in the air, do China, blah, blah, blah. That's it. You could talk about him being Beijing Biden and another answer. That has to do with the economy. But we're going to have a race relations topic. I would just continue to have. How could you unify us? You keep telling everybody you're going to unify us. How could you unify us if you based your entire campaign on a lie meant to divide? That's it. That's your answer. That's it. Do not get caught in the blah, 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 blah. Incumbent presidents especially have a habit of doing this. George Bush looked at his watch. It was horrible. Like, I don't really have freaking time to be here. Ronald Reagan was clobbered by Walter Mondale in that first debate. Mondale had a real chance, it looked like, for a minute there. I don't think fundamentals were in Reagan's favor. Mondale was very liberal. But it goes to show you how bad. There were questions. It was reversed in 1984. There were questions over Ronald Reagan's mental fitness. And that first debate actually added fuel to the fire. And it wasn't until the second debate that he recovered. Some of you know. All right. So that's what really each candidate needs to do. I just told you what Trump needs to do because it's about his record. Trump's job, aside from telling people that Joe Biden's entire candidacy is built on a lie, he needs to, because he's got to get past a certain group of people who don't like him, but may know that his policies make their life better. And he's got to get around that decency argument. So when they get the chance and they're talking about the economy, what Trump needs to do in a nutshell, and then some of the coronavirus lies too. He needs to fight that head on. But he's going to have to defend his coronavirus record, Laura. He's got to defend that record because the coronavirus is the reason why this is even a race right now. It's the reason why I would say Joe Biden, if Trump needs to hold Pennsylvania. If not, he needs to win Minnesota and New Hampshire, hold Arizona. It's difficult. But it's only difficult because of coronavirus. If coronavirus did not happen, this election would be Trump plus 5 in Florida, 4 or 5. And it would be Trump plus 2 in Pennsylvania. It would be tied, maybe Trump plus 1 in Michigan. That's where we'd be right now. And I'm not just talking about Trafalgar guys or others who, by the way, I trust. I think Robert, it's a matter of record. Robert was more accurate than they were in 2016 and 18. But you have to understand that if the polls are going to be wrong this time again, the error is going to be bigger than it was in 2016 if these polls don't tighten soon. All right. And now you know how I feel with Ohio, guys. I just don't think Ohio. It's just not. I know what they're saying. I do not buy it. I just don't. I polled it now twice. Once for the Epoch Times as part of the Rust Belt poll. And then I got that other sample that I got for the hell of it, just to prove a point. After the Fox poll came out, neither were particularly close. Neither are particularly close. All right. So, yeah. So anyway, that's what each candidate needs to do. Biden needs to be competent because that's what he's a former vice president. There are some people who just want to know that Joe Biden is competent. All right. Which is, his bar is very low. Very low. But Trump, he's got to defend it. His job is harder. He's got to defend his record And he's got to tell people, which is a bet. Look, whether you like Donald Trump or don't like him, the question for voters, and I see one person in the chat, stick to policy. I want everyone here, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, but stick to policy. All right? Don't start, you're not morally superior. All right? You're not morally, I see you insulting people. Do you want me to start in on you? Because I can. All right? You support human trafficking and call it human rights with illegal immigration. I mean, don't start it. Right? I mean, the truth is, you really don't know a lot of what really goes on. And ultimately, you're a partisan. I'm talking about the people who are weighing the decision, the decency argument that Joe Biden is making against Donald Trump versus the policy, which is not up for debate, which is why this election has not been about policy, folks, because there is no debate. People now, they tell us I'm better off than I was 4 years ago. Or they were better off than they were 4 years ago before the pandemic. And they expect to be because they trust Trump far more than Biden to bring us back. And as we saw today, I mean, you guys see consumer confidence, the Case-Shiller, every indicator, guys. Not every, but especially in housing is gangbuster. We're not even talking about pre-pandemic levels. We're talking about 2018 levels. Consumer confidence now is shooting through the roof again. So I mean, that's not really a debate. The thing Trump has to do is defend his record, plus he has to say, I made your lives better. Or this is the trap he falls into. Together, you electing me, defeating the swamp, however he wants to word it in 2016, together we made our lives better. We made our communities better. We made our families stronger. And we can do it again in 4 more years. But if you go backward, then we'll be right back where we started. He has a harder job. And I really think there's a lot of Trump supporters out there who are deluding themselves about how easy this is going to be for him. New home sales are at the highest since 2006, August 2006. I mean, really. I mean, this isn't debatable. Even unemployment is coming back down, Laura. I mean, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not really debatable whether or not Joe Biden or Donald Trump will make your economic life better. I mean, it's clear. It's a matter of decency. And Trump has a hard task ahead of him. And incumbent presidents tend to blow the first debate. They do. So we'll see. But he doesn't have the luxury this time. That being said, let's get back to Florida, right? I mean, what else could I say about the debate, Laura? I mean, that's it. Joe Biden
has to be prepared.
He's got to be prepared. And Biden has a very low bar. Yeah. You got your mic? I would have given you the floor. Right? That's it. I didn't miss anything, right? Here,
no. Well, Trump has to be prepared, not blow it off and not think it's a joke. Like you said, Biden just really needs to not drop dead during the campaign, and all's fair and more. And then I'm sure whatever else needs to be done on the Biden camp, Kamala or whatever, Harris will gladly campaign for him with mainstream media along her side. So, other than not dropping dead, that's about it.
That's it. She nailed it. I mean, because I've been telling you guys this for a while now, since this show started, in fact, when, if you guys remember, there were opposing views in the beginning. He was wrong and I was right. Mm-hmm. That's it. This was always going to be used to hold some kind of quasi kind of election. The mainstream media wanted a generic candidate. They didn't want Bernie Sanders for 2 reasons. One, the party can't control Bernie Sanders. All right. They influence him, and he's a coward who buckles quickly and has now twice. He's not a champion for his movement. As a champion wouldn't lick dog off the souls of people like he has done now twice. All right. He's just not a champion, but he still wasn't their guy, and he wasn't going to be a member of the club. So they didn't want him. And they also thought he was going to get, they thought he would be thoroughly defeated, which is what got Barack Obama on board. He didn't want Joe. He doesn't like Joe. He thinks he's an idiot. Everybody knows that. Or everybody in this business. Everybody knows, everybody in this business knows Barack Obama doesn't like Joe Biden. All right? He doesn't. He didn't want him to run in 2016 because he thought he was stupid and he didn't have it. And he didn't want him to run this time either.
Did you ever watch them sit next to each other?
Oh, yeah. Body language, you're saying. Yep. Body language. I just put you in. You were like, that's funny. Funny noise. Because I clicked the mic. Yeah, but that's what he has to do. All right. So, but in the end, like I've been telling you, that since this show started, that was what they wanted, and that's what they got. A generic candidate they can tell the story for. All right. They don't want him to campaign himself, folks. It's nothing to do with coronavirus. If you believe that, I'm sorry, you're naive. You've been duped. Then I look. All I can tell you is Donald Trump colluded with Russians to steal the 2016 election. I mean, guys, at this point, at this point, guys, I mean, how many times can you be duped? I mean, really? I mean, they don't give a damn about your grandmother, or else they wouldn't have sent her to her death in nursing homes with infected patients. Look, that's really it. They wanted a quasi-election because they knew Joe Biden could not out-campaign Donald Trump. They love hurting the economy because Donald Trump's donations, by the way, they did. They hurt him. They hurt his fundraising because Donald Trump's donations don't come from Wall Street like Joe Biden's do. All right. And there you go. I mean, there it is. They don't come from Wall Street, K Street in China. They come from working Americans. And if working Americans aren't working, they can't donate to political campaigns. So that was mission accomplished. I just don't know how some of these supposedly brilliant people who supposedly support the president got blindsided by this, Laura. I just don't, like I'm to those early episodes. I don't know how you could be that foolish. And you couldn't see how it was coming. Read The Crisis in Leviathan, people. Robert Higgs, it's seminal. If you're an American who believes in liberty and freedom, it's seminal. You have got to read The Crisis in Leviathan. This is how they roll. It's worked now since really, yeah. It's worked since the progressive era. And it is what it is. All right. Let's get back into the poll results, though, because like I've said, one other thing that I've now said for quite a while is, and the point of but by the way, just to keep it real, just keep the, these stupid insults you hurl at people, this is a show for debate, all right, about empirical evidence and data. It is not a show for someone to come in and I won't block you because I'm not a blocker, but just be, debate policy. Like you show your intellectual when you do that, right? So, insults are for the feeble-minded. All right. That's
because they don't have facts.
That's if you don't get into a war of wits when you are unarmed. Okay, is my point.
It's like taking a gun to war.
I'll tell you what. I had a teacher years and years ago when I was a screw up. As Laura remembers, because we've known each other for years. I will never forget the teacher who said that because, he just knew that I was, not using my abilities, my talents to the best of my ability. And some people have a real impact on the direction of someone's life. This guy definitely did. There's no doubt. But he said that, and I will never forget him saying that. All right, so let's get back into the Florida poll because also, like I have been telling you, this race will be decided in the Rust Belt. All right. No, I don't think Biden is up 8 or 9 points in Pennsylvania. I think Nate Cohen is using the same. I mean, you guys, if you watch the show, you know what I think Nate is doing. All right. And it's 47-42 or something right now. If you look, if he estimates the vote from 2016, every single poll that he has conducted in every single state has had a Trump lead. What he is saying is that the electorate will be significantly bigger. Not normal increases like we've seen, like we're projecting 145 million. All right. He is saying that the electorate will be beyond historic numbers, larger than the increase we saw in 2008 for Barack Obama. I am skeptical, my friends. I am skeptical. We will look at the polls, and I will show you the enthusiasm levels. Those warplanes, I love them, but sometimes I just wait for them to get done before I finish what I'm saying. All right. Donald Trump leads in voter enthusiasm categories in almost every single group except for moderately. So Joe Biden leads in not at all enthusiastic, 51.3 to 37.8. Trump even leads in slightly, Laura, 42.6 to 41.4. Trump leads among those who say they are extremely enthusiastic, 55.1 to 43.5. So it's twofold what those polls are trying to say, that there'll be this historic increase in turnout, like I said, and that those people will be overwhelmingly for Joe Biden. It's never happened in the history of American politics. And if it does, by the way, Laura and I have decided, which is a great way to lead into this, if it does, I'm going to call some BS. And Laura and I, you remember the map we've been doing with the voter files? Laura and I have decided that we're putting up the map that shows, I am going to give it up because I want people to know we're doing it. We're going to put up a map that shows voter registrations in each battleground state. And we'll try to do a drill down map, which means it'll go by county. So if you see, it's not going to be just total registrations. It'll be total and eligible. Okay. And if you see precincts in Philadelphia start to get above those levels, you know there's an issue. There has never been anybody who's done anything like this before. All right. So we're going to tell you how many eligibles, how many change of address flags there are, how many change of name flags, how many dead people are there and still on the damn voter rolls. And this way, there's two reasons why we're going to do it. One, look, maybe the media continues to pretend like there's no problem here, but they have sufficiently made this an election that nobody trusts the results, or many, many people do not trust the results, which brings me to this, Laura. Let's see. Let me reshare this. Let's find that. Where are they? How comfortable are you? Here we go. And I'll pull up the all, and then we'll show it again. Okay. There is almost half of the state of Florida who doesn't trust the election results. All right. How do I put this back on there? Why isn't it going back on? There we go. And you guys can see, right? Out of, and it's out of order because, again, I haven't had a chance to put it back up. But you know what? You don't need to see my face. Look at this. You could see much better, can't you? They can see now, right? Because I want them to see the damn results. All right. So here we go. If state and local officials mail unsolicited ballot requests, which is what is happening in Florida, or ballots to everyone on the voter rolls, how much would you trust? How much trust would you have in the integrity of the election result? A total of 28% said not very much. 17.8% said none at all. 27.2% said a great deal. And another 27% said a fair amount. So, folks, combined, 45, 46, almost 46, if you do, because it's 45.8. Combined, almost 46% of the electorate in Florida, it has either not very much confidence in the integrity of the election or none at all. That is a catastrophe for self-governance. It's a total catastrophe. So we simply cannot have we just can't have this. You have got to trust the election result is my point. I would also say this should tell you off the bat, and then I'm going to go to the other one probably, Laura, and get party here because I want to show this by party. All right. The bottom line is that people can't read too much into the mail-in vote thing. That should be one. Republicans overwhelmingly have a high level of distrust in the election result. All right. That's number one. And number two, that's why we're putting up the map because maybe the media doesn't think it's noteworthy to talk about, but apparently Americans do, right? And this is not, if you guys have followed the Rust Belt poll now, and if you followed the national poll, there were always significant chunks. So I think it's probably getting worse. It's just that we polled Florida, and Florida it's more distrustful than we found so far. But what was it in the Rust Belt? Like 4 and 10? So it wasn't that much less, right? It's like 4 and 10 in the Rust Belt. So again, maybe the media, they don't think it's a worthwhile issue, but Americans do. They do. All right. So the hell with what they think. So we're putting up that map because half of America thinks it's at least a possibility, or some, obviously, a lot even think it's likely. So we're going to put that up, and it'll be kind of like a fraud alert system, right? Boys, it'll be like a fraud alert system. I mean, like VDT. Right? That's it.
And then we should have like a little siren going.
Yeah, like woo, 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 woo. Yeah, absolutely.
Like the county links.
Absolutely. I like that idea. Yeah, there should be like something like a red note annotation on the map or something. Or first, it'll be the state itself. And if it's happening in a state, then you click on the state. Yeah, this is what we got to do. And then when they click on the state, just like when they click on it, the thing pops up. Because when you click on the state on this map, a pop-up window opens up. And then that looks like the voter analysis that we run in the voter files. So that's how it's looking. So what we could do is, like Laura's saying, like have like a siren or something, annotate the state where there may be a precinct or a county where something flagged. Or red flag. We could do a red flag. And then when you click on the state, it'll drill down and you'll see in which county or counties or precinct or precincts. All right. Damn, that's a cool idea. All right. What else do we want to look at here, guys? There is, oh, yes, the Supreme Court questions. All right. Excuse me. I'm drinking since you can't see me anyway. Do you believe the U.S. Supreme Court should practice judicial restraint and base decisions on deference to legal precedent and the law as it is written, or should justices practice judicial activism and base decisions on their preferred or desired outcome, regardless of the law as it is written? And if you were watching What Are the Odds yesterday, you know that the question was actually worded a little bit different, but we ran out of room, and it is every word that you see here is there, except it says their sense of fairness and justice, their preferred decision or desired outcome based on their fairness and justice. And overwhelmingly, people say judicial activism is not the way to go. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a judicial activist. She was a vocal supporter and proponent of judicial activism. But voters overwhelmingly want the court overall to practice judicial restraint. It's not even close. Not even close. Nearly 7 in 10 men, nearly 6 in 10 women. 4 in 10 18 to 29-year-olds versus 25%, 26%. All right. So 41.5 to 26.6 among 18-year-olds. And as you get older, it just keeps getting worse. 80% of seniors in Florida think that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's judicial philosophy was wrong. 7 in 10, 45 to 64, 51.5, basically 30 to 44. All right. And basically, that's true of all races, whether they're white, Hispanic, black, or Asian. Although you can see Asians are actually the most undecided. All right. True of basically every work group, not basically. I mean, it's across the board, folks. Look, I mean, I'm going across the board. That's employment, working. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they have a high school education or some college or undergrad or a graduate. Doesn't matter if they're divorced, married, separated, single and never married, or widowed. Doesn't matter if they make 100 to 200 grand, whether they make 200 or more, 30 to 50, 50 to 100, under 30. And I don't mean to be making you sick here. Doesn't matter if they have if they're a Catholic, if they're Jewish, if they have no religion, if they're Protestant, or they have another religion that's not cited. Doesn't matter if they live in rural America, suburban America, urban America. Just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what region of the state they are in. All right? Look at that. The Panhandle, 7 and 10. All right? And that's it. And those are cross things. So there's no point to go on. So the fundamental question here, and in Florida, people do want Trump to pick the justice, not Biden. The fundamental question here goes to the heart of Amy Coney Barrett's nomination. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died last week, creating a vacancy on the court. Let's wait for the F-18 Hornet to stop racing over our heads. It doesn't say that.
It's the sound of freedom.
It's the sound of freedom right there. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died last week, creating a vacancy on the court. President Donald J. Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett to fill that vacancy. Do you think the U.S. Senate should hold hearings and vote on whether to confirm Judge Barrett or not hold hearings and block her nomination, leaving the vacancy to be filled by the winners of the election? Should hold hearings, 52.7%. Should not hold hearings, 36%. Let me say this again, because I know this cuts against the grain of the national polls. Voters in the state of Florida, the biggest battleground state in the country, want Amy Coney Barrett to get a hearing. They do not want to wait for the presidential election. All right? It doesn't matter if you're a woman, you're a man, and that may change with females as we go. When we look at Barrett's record, maybe that does sour on her. But we got this as a baseline. They want her to have a hearing. All right. And I know that cuts against the grain. I will also call out Langer Research, or not even them. Really, they should. Well, yeah, I guess it is. Decent poll. I mean, it is what it is. But ABC News Washington Post poll, that's who conducts it, compared the question that they asked in 2016 for Merrick Garland when Barack Obama nominated him versus this one. And the question was worded very differently. And to compare them is dishonest. If you're watchers of Inside the Numbers, you already know from like the multiple episodes I've done about question wording, survey wording and ordering and all that. Enormous impact. So in 2016, they said, Justice Scalia passed away. He died. Barack Obama is going to nominate Merrick Garland, or however it was put, to fill the seat. Do you think Merrick Garland should get a hearing, or do you think Republicans should block him? And they use all these forceful languages. That's fine. But then use it for 2020 as well. But they didn't.
Be consistent.
They were not consistent. And they made it more empowering to the voter. So do you think Republicans and Trump should basically not listen to you and ignore that there's an election that you'll decide in a little bit? Or do you think you should have the final say? Of course, voters always are going to say, well, I want to say. I'm in charge here. And they didn't use forceful words like, should Mitch McConnell block Amy Coney Barrett's? That was only used for Merrick Garland. I actually think it's fair and appropriate to use the word to essentially blocking her nomination. Do you think the U.S. Senate should hold hearings and vote on whether to confirm Judge X or not hold hearings and block the nomination, leaving the vacancy to be filled by the winners of the election? I even threw that in there to make it a little bit more voter empowering too. This is what, when you do a combination of their wording, which is the more accurate way to do it, so you get both points of view in a much more honest and unbiased way. This is the result that you will get. And again, really not that close, folks. And if you follow me on Twitter, I saw it in the raw data, and Laura will tell you guys, and you guys, many of you, I'm sure, know. I'm very superstitious. I don't like interpreting much from the raw. I don't like even looking that much at it. I feel like it'll throw something off, you know? And I do. I've always done that. I'm very superstitious. So I just decided you peek at it a little bit, and I could see that the voter groups were widespread. Everybody wanted this woman to get a hearing. All right. So I'll pop this back up. I just wanted to do it. Well, you saw it already. So, all right. So do you support or oppose increasing the number of justices on the Supreme Court, which would give the winner of the presidential election even more influence over the ideological direction of the court? You may see here that that about a third support it. Only 43 in plurality. I always messed. I hate that word. Plurality. Oh, there you go. That they oppose it. So it is opposed by double digits. But 24% said they're unsure. So next time, I'm thinking maybe I wasn't a little bit clear about my wording. I don't know. It sounds fine. I mean, I've seen how other pollsters ask it. There wasn't that much of a difference. I don't know. But I just think that it's a lot of unsure. It doesn't really make sense. All right. Listen, I'm going to take some water. And then we have about 20 minutes to go over, or a little less. I think in the end, I'm going to, like I said, use the rest of my time here today to work on polling, including this one, and crunch it, get it pretty for you guys so I could put it up and you guys could root through it yourself. All right. And then, what's up? Yeah, I mean, the people that just keep giving. I just saw a donation before. We need to decide, though, if we're going to do this, we need to decide whether it's going to be Arizona, New Hampshire, or Maine. So what if we blast out a survey? I will create a survey. As a matter of fact, I'll leave inside the numbers in a little bit. It's already almost a quarter to one. We'll blast out a survey, and I'll create it in Gizmo, just like we do with polling. And just like I did when we were deciding whether to do inside the numbers or not. I do survey research on everything. I do no decisions without data driving that decision. All right. I'll put it together. Be very simple, and then we'll decide. Okay. We'll go from there. And whoever wins, whether it's Arizona, New Hampshire, or Maine, that's what we'll do. Okay. All right, give me a 30-second break to get some water, drink some coffee, and when we come back, we'll do the rest. We'll do a couple other things. I want to add party too. I can't believe I didn't put party in the crosstabs. Got to do that. All right, 30 seconds, folks. Killing me. I don't know why. It is what it is. It's a full day, a lot on the plate, right? I gotta add, like I said, party to the crosstabs. Then I'll put together that questionnaire. All right, and we'll go from there. I'm looking at why can't I add this to the crosstabs? It's because I'm on the thing. Silly. Hit edit. The crosstab key is this crosstab is a key finding. Please make changes. Changes made to the object will be made available. Yes, I know that. I shared this with the Hill guys. You got to check out that interview on the Hill. It was a good interview. I had a good time, and you guys are awesome. So while I was waiting in the queue, and while I'm doing this, I'll tell you the story. While I'm waiting on the queue, they're like, your followers are like relentless. They're like, you're like the most requested guy. He's like, you're a highly requested guy, he said. You're a highly requested guy.
We love the love.
We love the love, man. We love the love, right? Let's take this out. This way it doesn't nest itself. Or you know what? Then I should have taken this out. Party. There's political views. And here is party. Okay. All right. There we go. Update first. Then save. You can see Trump and Biden are basically even among independents. Trump is at there. There's a lot of undecideds. That ticked up for Biden a little bit, I guess. I don't know. It's changing. I just haven't updated it. But we'll have that worked out. It really is like 40, 39 or something. But Republicans are just so damn juiced to vote, and Democratic registrations are really low. Again, 2016 was R plus 3, 2, 1, and 2018 was, and Robert, thanks, just saw that, and 2018 was R plus 5. So I think R plus 3 is not an unrealistic result. And actually, I always like to put gender first. Gender first. This is how we do this, guys. This is what we do. All right. Gender and age. This is how we roll. Market Site's really cool. There's a lot of other really cool tools. It's just that when it comes to weighting, the chance of human error is high. And I don't like taking that chance myself anymore. Right. I still longhand a lot of stuff. So if I see someone's getting this share of a party, I'll longhand just to verify the results because it matters. You know, I mean, it matters. I trust machines, but I don't fully trust them, even though I can rely on them because they're helpful, right? I guess is the point. But right. Okay, so what else could we look at here before we boogie on out of here? Let's close the editor. All right, and then also Market Site's the bomb because you could do this. Cross tabs are huge. I'll cross them. That great question Joel said. I wonder how much by party. We'll do batch questionnaires and charts. Really quick, though, let's look at the approval by approval. Don't we have voter approval, Trump approval here? We do. We do indeed. All right. So not too many undecided, strongly approve of Donald Trump, but look at the somewhat approve. Okay. And then look at the double undecideds. Oh my goodness. And in truth, when we ask people to lean, this is why Trump is getting quite a bit, because 16.2% strongly approve. I mean, somewhat approve. And then a little bit more somewhat disapprove. And this strongly disapproval number is 3.8. But this undecided, that's where your social bias lies, Laura. The double undecideds. And then also, too, it may turn out they get screened out. You know what I mean? They get screened out later as we go. That's why every respondent gets a respondent ID. This way, if you return to the same person, you can find out whether or not they're undecided. You can give them an ID. You can go back and you say, hey, by the way, have you decided yet? And you can see where they're breaking. All right. So that's pretty interesting right there. Strongly or against the opponent. This is also cool to cross, Laura. Against or for my opponent by approval. So for those 92% who strongly approve of Donald Trump are for my candidate. 69% who somewhat approve are for the candidate. Somewhat disapprove is split. And then strongly disapprove slightly favors for my candidate. But this is why you can see clearly why Biden is so, what's the word? Uninspiring. Right? That's the word I'm looking for. Uninspiring.
He reminds me of the history professor that talks.
It's an indifference. It's like this degree of indifference, Laura, right? Mm-hmm. It's this degree of indifference that it's just unbelievable. It really is. And then let's see, what else? Is this the one?
Did the Hill already put out the link?
The Hill didn't put anything up.
No, of your.
Oh, they said it would be live at 10:30. It's like live for Hill TV. And then I'm sure there is. If you go to let's see, where are you? Sagar and Jetty. It's in here somewhere, probably. That's Megyn Kelly. Let me see. I mean, I'll find it and tweet it out, guys. Let's spend the rest of the time doing this instead of going through. Oh, let me let you guys see this. Let me make that full screen. This is why the likely voter model favors Donald Trump. Okay. Certain to vote, 47 for Donald Trump. And actually, this is ticking a little bit higher for Joe Biden. But then when those enthusiasm levels in truth, when they say they're certain, that means they make it through the first screening. And then there's the other screening. There were a ton of people who got screened out. And can we show that to them or no? And look, Trump even leads in the likely to vote with people where the odds are greater than 50-50. So when you add the certain and the likelihood to vote, oh yeah, look at that. It didn't. Good, because look at this. In truth, Trump's lead may be a little bit bigger. But this is what's making it R+3, R+4, R+5. All right. Unlikely to vote, meaning the odds are less than 50-50. 24%. That's it is Biden compared to only 6.2 for Donald Trump. That's huge. I can't stress enough how huge that is. It matters. So while I criticized them before, Langer Research, I criticized their Supreme Court comparisons, those questions. In truth, I was skeptical on them. What's the word? Putting up their R plus whatever in their Florida poll that had Trump up by 4. We still don't have Trump up by 4, but he's up by 2. And they argued. And let me see, because they worded it perfectly here. What's up?
Undecideds, though. If he's already up there, Trump's
Yeah.
already up there, and then those undecideds.
He's got a shorter way to go, Laura.
Yeah.
And then equal number of them approve and disapprove, right? Or somewhat disapprove and somewhat in equal number. And then another 3% strongly approve. So this is why it's not just us either. The Pennsylvania poll that shows Biden up by 6, Trump was taking undecideds 3-1 in that when they forced him to lean. He was taking undecideds 3-1. All right. So Donald Trump's economic argument pushes back against Joe Biden's pitch that he can be better handling the coronavirus pandemic in Florida and Arizona alike. That's it. That's maybe that's not the story everywhere else, but that is the story. So they're about evenly split among registered voters, but Trump is up 51-47 among those most likely to vote. If we were to do, and actually Trump does have a bigger lead, Laura. He does.
Mm-hmm.
He does. Because it is 3 or 4 points. It is because or at least it is in the polling. I think we're probably right where, it's like a 2 point. Like so Florida voted right now, Trump's got it by 2 points. But if you just look at who is certain to vote. So if we were more strict with the likely voter model, this is why. This is why. Langer Research has them. And I just read that. That was directly from Langer Research. All right. And ditto for the Arizona Senate contest. All right. And actually, 49-48. The bottom line is I'm looking for something where who shows up, of course, is more decisive than anything. And on this, the complexities of a pandemic election are evident. Majorities in Arizona, well, let's stick with Florida. In Florida, plan to vote early or absentee, not on election day. That's much higher than in other states. Mail-in voting is especially prevalent. In Arizona, where it is more established, 80% used to be. In Florida, more plan in-person early vote. Yeah, I will say this too. These early voting numbers, we just can't read into them, Laura. We just can't read into them because there's too many big percentages to be sure of anything, right? So half of them don't like the idea at all. They totally distrust the idea of mailing in their ballot. There's just too many. All right. On election day, Trump is carrying 7 out of 10 who plan to vote on election day. And then, which is bigger than normal. So what you're going to see in Florida, as it's reported, is you're going to see a small chunk of the vote come in and it's going to widen for Trump. Okay. And then you're going to see Broward and Miami and Broward chunk in a little bit, not a lot, a little bit. And that'll give a nice lead for Biden. Then the media is going to go nuts. Oh my God, right? And then the absentee ballots will start with that. They will be counted. A lot of them will be counted last. In-person early vote will come later. Will come before that. It's different this time. All right. But it will tend to show Biden trickling Trump's lead over time. So maybe Trump has a 4-point lead that trickles down to 1 point or 1.5 points. It's going to be very difficult if the demographics are demographics. And I know let me close out the show like this. We know where every vote is in the state of Florida. Right now, even though it's a small lead, statistically, it's a small but solid. Yeah, small, but even if it doesn't expand, it's just solid because it's hard to overcome that last little inch. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Bay County, 73-19. That's what the margin is in Bay County. It's just, of course, Biden could wind up doing better, I guess, but that's ugly. That is really ugly. In 2016, because I got a couple of these handy. Where are you, Bay? Where are you? Come on, Bay. Where are you? Just had it. But it wasn't that much. It was slightly. It's still good. It was a solid result for Donald Trump. And in Liberty, too. Look at that. 80% of the vote. So that's he got roughly that, though. In all right, so, yeah. Oh, no. Clinton got 25%, though. So Trump did take 71.1 in Bay County, but Clinton still got 24.9. Biden's not even there. He's not even the 20%. And again, these are smaller samples, so a lot bigger margins. It's just that
underperforming HRC.
In Miami-Dade, he's really, really underperforming. Trump is at 42%. Yeah. We had. Wanted to tell you guys that's a big deal. We had Trump at 42% in Miami-Dade. He got 30 or 41%. Was it 41? I'll have to look again just to make sure I'm sure. He got 34% of the vote in Miami-Dade. Let me just double check. I may be messing it up with the urban vote in my mind here. I can't do it in Market Site. I got to do it in this one. Just bear with me, guys, because I do want to get this right. All right. I got to add the city.
Guard said 42% Miami-Dade.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me just make sure that's extremely moderate. Just give me a second. I'm going to pull it up because I want to make sure it's right. You got to create an advanced filter to do this. City. There it is. All right. Exactly equal to Miami. Okay. It's a little bit. There we go. 40.8%. Joe Biden, 59.2. That and by the way, that poll the other day, people were so funny. It came out. It was like the Miami-Dade poll. And they're like, this was 48, 47 2 weeks ago, and now it's 55, 38. If it's 55-38, Joe Biden's underperforming Hillary Clinton by huge margin. That would mean Trump's doing 4 points better than he did in 2016, and Hillary Clinton got 64%. So that means he's underperforming by 6. So that's a 10-point swing to Donald Trump, if I'm roughly right. I know I'm roughly in the ballpark of what they were saying. Point is, Miami-Dade was never 48-47. George Bush lost Miami-Dade by 6.5 points both times, roughly 6.5 points. It's not like that anymore. It's not the same Miami-Dade than it used to be.
But if this keeps up, the trend that Trump is having where Biden is underperforming in places where Hillary expanded and Trump
it's just
overperforming.
Here, let me add you. You talk. Wait a minute. Say it again. Well, no. People always tell me to shut up.
Well, I'm just saying, if this trend keeps going where Biden underperforms HRC in places where she exceeded, and Trump is taking from those places more than he did last time against Hillary, the trend keeps up this way, you're going to have a Trump 2020 win. Just saying, just putting it out there. Theory epic.
In Florida, he's going to win Florida. There's no doubt. I mean, look, if the election was today, I would look, guys. I'm really confident in this result. It's a big enough sample to be very confident. And I'll give, like I said, we'll have it final. Maybe things shift a little bit here, a couple tens of percentage points on this group, tens of percentage points on that group. It's not going to shift to Biden. It's not going to shift 2 points. It's just not. There's not enough left in the poll and the quotas. It's the same thing as like on election day. Maybe 95% are in, guys. You can't shift it 2 points in a state this big with 5% left.
Does Biden outperform Hillary in any place?
Yeah, there are. There are suburbs where he outperforms Hillary Clinton. There are suburbs where he outperforms her. The problem is the totality of it all. The net is a net. In a state like Florida, where there are no real big urban centers, not like there are in some other states, Laura, even their urban centers are not really like urban centers like a New Yorker would think or something, right? And they're not really metro. Even Miami-Dade, even Palm, even Jacksonville, Tallahassee. I mean, there's some hoods there, but they're not nothing like a Newark ghetto. There's no, and then you have, because you have those like, I'll tell you what does the margin dirty, guys, like a hood like Wayne County, like in Detroit, you got a hood like that. And then that mixes with the uber gentry liberal who lives in a very metro Uber Starbucks area. And that is what does the margin dirty for Republicans. That's what does it. There are no areas to that extreme in Florida. So while Biden's doing better in suburban areas, he's doing worse in rural areas, and he's doing worse in some urban areas. Miami-Dade, I can tell you what's going on. And I tweeted an article about this on purpose, and Barnes mentioned it. We talked about it on What Are the Odds yesterday. There could be another 40,000 votes in Miami-Dade alone that breaks 70% for Donald Trump, or 50,000 roughly. So if they break 70% for Donald Trump, whatever it may be, I can't remember how many are eligible there, but I remember the amount net that it was. It was a net 40,000 for Donald Trump. Even if Miami changes just the way the other poll from last week did, that would be a net of like 65 to 85,000, depending on voter turnout. So it offsets that Donald Trump does a little bit worse in Hillsborough. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It offsets that maybe he doesn't carry Pinellas by 7 this time. All right, he carries it by 3 or 4. Or you could even lose. Ron DeSantis did not do that well in Pinellas, and neither did Rick Scott. They both underperformed, and yet they both won, and that's why. All right, so I'm going to have to wrap it there. Let's wrap up this poll. We'll put a bow on it and put it out for you guys, and you guys can digest it. But that's ultimately what it is. Now, in some other states, that shift is not helping Donald Trump as much. It's just not. Like with Wisconsin, that's been his problem, actually. I mean, you do have those Uber Dane County kind of folks. Those are the Ubers we were talking about. There's a lot of them. So if you slip in an urban area like that, it could be a lot of votes. I know people are talking about Ohio today. Guys, I don't buy it. I'm not even going to entertain it right now. I'll pull it again to see if I'm missing something changed. I'm just not going to. All right, entertain it. I think every damn poll in Ohio was wrong in 2018. They were wrong. So I'm not. It's showing a trend of getting worse and worse and worse, not better. So while it is true that it would have to be worse than Hillary's, well, we know 2018 was already worse than Hillary's. So 2020 could be worse than 2018. Then what? Then it makes sense, right? The bottom line is Trump is going to have to hold Pennsylvania. He's going to have to hold either Pennsylvania and Minnesota, or he's going to have to flip Minnesota and take New Hampshire. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And that's why I say this next poll should either be of Minnesota alone again, Arizona. I'll add Minnesota to the list. You guys decide which ones you want to poll, but I know you want to poll Arizona pretty quickly. I know a lot of people want Arizona. They want New Hampshire. They want Maine. I'll put them up there. You guys decide. North Carolina, I'm not ready to entertain those either. I think Trump's probably going to win North Carolina by 3 or 4 points. You don't see what we see here. All right. This will be on Big Data Poll. I'll tweet it out, but we'll also put it up on Big Data Poll. I'll put a very easy to digest human crosstab on Google spreadsheets. I'll make it a public crosstab, so obviously you guys can see it. But then also too, I'll do what we always do, which is do a report and everything. I mean, it'll make it easy for you guys to digest. All right, but it will be on Big Data Poll. All right, and then what else? Yeah, we did PA in the Rust Belt. I mean, I'll add it. I mean, if you guys want to see, which one wins, we'll see. But we did do PA. It was very close. I mean, it was very tight. All right. I just don't know where some. And look at that poll that came out today, by the way. Look at the Western share. They asked me about that on the Hill TV, and I flatly told them I don't buy it. I said live caller, the media poll. We would have been Biden +6 in PA too if we didn't do what we did. Right. If we didn't do what we do, it would have been Biden +6 too. That's how it happens, All right. So, but we'll put it on there and we'll see which one you guys want to do next. All right. Or we'll do another option, just track Florida. So we'll do all those states or the option to track Florida. Whichever one wins. All right. All right, folks. As usual, we love you. Thanks for watching Inside the Numbers. We'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow because we'll be done crunching the crosstab and then we'll have the debate. All right. So we'll have a lot on our plate to talk about. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to PPD, ppdnews.us/subscribe. ppdnews.us/subscribe. If you want to support the show, that is the best way. Inside the Numbers is sponsored by PPD. All right. And subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell to let you know when we're going to go live. Periscope sucks. They are killing us. And I'm starting to think it's just straight on purpose.
It is.
They stopped answering us. Like about technical issues, like why it would be a technical issue. After I did what they told me to do, which was stream in a lower quality, it's still happening. And then they just stopped answering. So, I mean, I think I just cornered them up again. I don't think they expected us to make the changes.
Nope.
That's what it was, right? I mean, what else could it be? And then, yesterday we had 25,000 views. 30,000 on the show last week. These are big numbers, man. You can't be doing this. So if you guys are Scope users, we just implore you to go to Facebook Live or to go to YouTube. So like the page, People Spend It Daily on Facebook. That'll let you know when we're going to go live with anything. And then, of course, if you subscribe on YouTube, hit that notification bell, even though YouTube's been lagging a little bit. But Periscope, if you're a Scope watcher, we're imploring you to move over to something else, and we'll give you a way to watch the show again on PPD when we have time, okay? Because we have our own server, and we're going to have to fire that puppy back up, I guess. This is just the way it's going to be. It's sad. I was trying to build an audience on social media and then have it so, but apparently that's just not, they're going to pull some crap. So we'll talk about all that. And did I miss anything? No. Show announcements.
Fresno,
Show announcements.
Talk radio.
Today at 3:08, I'll be on with Keith Hansen on the Daily Review. That's in Nashua, New Hampshire. All right. So, we'll talk about the battleground state of New Hampshire. All right. And that is at 3:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on WSMN, New Hampshire. All right. We'll be on Fresno, and I'll tweet all this out. Fresno Talk Radio at
1550 KXEX.
1550 KXKS. KXEX.
5 p.m. Pacific.
5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Speaking of Standard Time, I'll be on, quite frankly, at 7:30. All right. So Keith Hansen at 3:08 in Nashua, WSMN. Quite frankly, at 7:30 with Frank, our good buddy Frank, Eastern Standard Time. And then Fresno, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. your time. I'll tweet this all out. All right. But again, we love you guys. We love you. All the best. And we will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Inside the Numbers. All right, folks. See you tomorrow.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. There's rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Get on a plane and take a one-way ride. Steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to disappear for a night. Just to give in to the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow